When you're ready.
I was born ready. This is episode 1 of the Cain and Abel journey to becoming the best cookware brand in the world, especially New Zealand. To get you up to speed with what's been going on the last 5 years, we're just going to answer 10 quick questions that's going to help kind of give you the backstory on Cain and Abel and how we got to where we are today. So, question 1.
For someone discovering Cain and Abel for the first time, how would you describe the brand?
I want to say like the best knife ever, but I don't want to be gloaty. The way we wanted to portray the brand was to contrast the traditional knife company, especially in New Zealand. So many New Zealand knives that you have in your home is probably the coloured handle with the silver stainless steel tip, which do a fine job, but they're definitely not the same experience you get when you use a sharp carbon steel knife. And so the brand itself, I'd say, does probably portray a contrast to most other knife brands. We've gone down this kind of darker route. We want to portray the knife as this thing of beauty because we truly believe that all our knives, look at them, are stunning and they deserve to be on the wall and in a knife block out on the bench, not hidden in a drawer somewhere. So beautiful is how I would describe the brand.
Where did the original idea for Cain and Abel come from?
So originally there were 2 founders called Tree and Lawn. I came in at a later date, but they operate in another company called Pepper and Me. And so that brand is completely obsessed with helping people enjoy eating better food. And so this brand itself is born out of the idea of trying to help people enjoy cooking better food. Like, have you ever sat at a dinner table and had a whole bunch of people around there eating what you've just prepared and just gone, oh my God, this is awesome. That feeling of helping provide good food for the people you love is incredible. And we want people to be able to enjoy that process to achieve that feeling, because that is literally one of the best feelings in the world.
Was there a particular moment you realised that this, being Cain and Abel, could become a real business rather than just an idea?
Yeah, definitely. So as a business, we've been operating for 5 years, but there was definitely a moment, and I'm going to say it was the end of year 2, when we started. We've been building a brand for a couple of years at this point. And to be honest, we've been growing pretty slowly, organically, still doing what we were meant to do, is helping get knives into people's kitchens. But when we started running ads, we found that all the work we had been doing with creating great tools or helping tell people how to use them, all that back work had really helped, because all the new people finding the brand it just took off. And that was definitely a pivotal point 3 years ago. I think the following year, in terms of knives, we doubled in what we were doing. So it was a pretty big period of growth for us. Yeah.
Why did you decide to focus specifically on kitchen knives?
It's the best first step to enjoying to cook and getting better at cooking, for sure. A good knife is something that you literally there's no other comparison when it comes to cooking. There's a reason chefs obsess over their tools. It's because they help the preparation of food just so much more efficient, more enjoyable. It's just a better process. It's kind of like driving a better car. Like, you're going to enjoy getting from A to B so much better. Having a better knife, you're going to enjoy starting the process of cooking, so getting from the start to the end, just so much better. And I think that's something that definitely doesn't get communicated enough in our country. Like, a lot of other countries have a whole idea of preparation and love around food. And so they sit there and they enjoy cooking, whereas I feel like we don't have that as much. So that is specifically why kitchen knives appealed to us, because we believe that there's a lot of education to happen, especially in New Zealand, around why a knife is important and why a good knife is important and why you need to look after a good knife.
Where did the name Cain and Abel come from, and what does it represent for the brand?
So Lorne, one of the original founders, his son, firstborn son, is called Abel. And so originally the brand itself was, as you can see, the knives themselves, because of the way that they're finished, this is traditional forging style called a kuraduchi, which is that black forge on the top. They have like a real dark rustic look to them, especially with the wooden handles. And so we wanted to lean into that. And so the name Cain and Abel actually came from one inspiration from Lorne's child, Abel, awesome kid. But the second is leaning into that dark side of what we wanted to portray with the knives. And so the Cain and Abel story, for those that don't know, the oldest son, Cain, kills the younger son, Abel, out of jealousy. I wish it was with a knife, it would have fit so much more, but it wasn't. But that's where the name came from, that story there, and then wanting to lean into the presenting the knives with just kind of like a darker perception.
What was the first Cain and Abel knife, and what do you remember about developing it or launching it?
Yeah, this is the original, the one. This is a 5-year-old knife, look at that. Well, there was 4 actually. So there was what is now Joseph, there's what is now Adam, there's what is now Thomas, and there was what is actually not there anymore, which is, we called it the sashimi knife, and I'll touch on that soon. But originally we called Joseph the handyman because it was a Santoku blade that was super handy. We called Adam the one because it was a larger Santoku knife which literally could do anything you wanted. It was the one. We called Thomas Tom Petty because it was a tall petty knife, and so Tom Petty just sounded cool. I didn't even know he was a musician, I don't think. And the 4th one was the sashimi knife, which was a sashimi knife, but we actually found that naming it that. A lot of people used it that knew how to use knives that were like barbecue people, but people didn't really know. They'd see a sashimi knife and kind of be like, oh, I don't need a sashimi knife. So originally the naming profiles of our brand really didn't represent the journey that our now brand is on. So we've changed them, which is why the names have changed, but those were the first 4 knives. What were some of the biggest challenges in the early days of building the brand? Early on, there wasn't many challenges because of the fact the brand kind of lived on the side for a few years, but I do remember when going full time into it, the biggest challenge I had that year was the fact that we kept selling out. Like the knives became so popular, which is really cool, really awesome. It was probably the biggest challenge then, and it's a real positive challenge. I think that's probably the other part of it is, I can't say I ever really saw it as a challenge because of the fact that it was a positive thing, but that was definitely something that, because you're trying to help people, when you can't service people and they're asking for the help, you do feel bad about it. And so we had people being like, when are your knives coming back in? And because they're all handmade, they don't just come out of thin air, like they take time to be made. So yeah, that was probably the biggest challenge that we had at year 3.
What makes a Cain and Abel knife different from other knives on the market?
The main difference is the fact that our knives are carbon steel. They are a material that is very different to stainless steel, whereas the edge that they're able to hold is sharper and they are able to hold the edge longer. That is just carbon steel as itself. Like, it is to me a better knife material because of the fact that you are able to get a sharper edge on it and it has a better cooking experience. It does require more care, and that's the other thing that I guess makes our knives different, is the fact that if you're someone that wants to put your knives in the dishwasher, then our knives are just not for you at all. Our knives are for a certain cook. They're not just for everyone. They are for the cook that wants to take care of their knife, and that's probably another big difference that we have to a lot of knife brands, because there are so many brands that they're all stainless steel, which does a job, but it's just, I don't believe it's the same as a carbon steel knife. A common stainless steel knife versus a carbon steel knife, I would pick carbon steel any day of the week.
How has the brand changed since it began, and what has stayed the same?
I think the brand itself has grown a lot over time, purely off us learning a lot. It's really funny, at the start, like the Santoku knife itself, a common household knife, especially across Japanese culture or Asian culture. Not in New Zealand. I think Western cultures are used to seeing a chef's knife, but to a lot of people a knife is a knife. Like, they don't realise that there's different shapes, there's different styles, there's different ways to use a knife. And I think that understanding is something that's helped us grow a lot as a company over time. I remember seeing Gabriel for the first time and wondering, what is this knife? It's a nikiri. It's an awesome vegetable knife that's used in a lot of cultures as a knife. It's their main knife. It's not this pointy tipped rocking motion knife. And I think when you're exposed to the different cultures and the different knife making abilities of different people, you start to learn a lot about what certain knives can do for you in the kitchen. And I could use Gabriel to cut steak. I couldn't use it to carve a beast, but if you take care of your knife, you understand how to use a knife, you can do a lot with the knife. And that's probably been the biggest learning over these last 5 years. There's a lot of different knives. There's a lot of different ways to use knives, and not one knife fits everyone.
And last question, what do you hope people feel when they buy, use, or gift a Cain and Who?
I want people to feel proud that they have one of our knives. I want them to want to use it every night, because that's what it's there to do. I want them to appreciate it, I want them to keep it sharp, and I want them to look after it, because if you look after these things, they will look after you and they'll help you enjoy cooking so much more. And they'll help you make food for your family every night and give you that warm, fuzzy feeling of feeding them with beautiful food that you've loved to cook. Because there's nothing worse. I remember, buddy, as a kid, sometimes my mum, I love her to bits, but sometimes she'd, buddy, cooking again. It doesn't have that same kickback when if you've made something for someone and they just love it. Like, they're like, oh my God, this is delicious. What happens if you could enjoy the whole process of making that, and then you get that feeling of helping provide food for the people you love? Awesome. We want you to have that. That's the goal. Cool. I think that's us. There's episode 1 of Catching Up with Cain and Abel. That's a cool name. Stay tuned for question. What is it? Episode 2. We're gonna talk about each knife, I think, or sharpened knives, something like that. See ya.